All right. So, as Londoners, we're always thinking about TfL, right? And we've got this report from MA and CO accountants, and it's got me thinking, it's not just about the delays.
It really isn't.
It goes way deeper. It gets into safety concerns, how our taxpayer money's being used. Like, what can we do about all this?
Well, you hit the nail on the head when you said this report goes deeper. It's not just complaining. They're saying that TfL is failing to meet public expectations, even with all the investment they get.
Yeah, and they've got some pretty compelling data, don't they?
Oh, they do. They really do.
Those passenger surveys from 2024.
Oh, tell me about it.
Over 65% felt vulnerable during delays.
Vulnerable, yeah.
Not just annoyed, vulnerable. That's a whole other level.
That's a much bigger issue. You're right. Not just a few minutes here and there.
So where does the report take us from there?
Well, they look at three main things.
Mm.
How TfL is spending our money, effectively or not.
Right.
The communication breakdowns when things go wrong. And then the impact on passenger safety. So we're not just talking about ideas here. We're talking about how this affects people on the ground, every day.
Let's talk about the money then.
Okay.
So, fares, government grants, taxpayers, we all contribute. But the report says they're not spending it wisely. It's like they're always putting out fires instead of preventing them.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. They're too focused on these temporary fixes rather than getting to the root of the problems. Like, for example, they have that workplace violence and aggression strategy, the WVA strategy,
Right.
meant to reduce incidents, especially during disruptions.
Yeah.
But it's not really working. They've spent money on things like body-worn cameras for staff and de-escalation training. But, the report shows that incidents are actually still going up.
So millions spent, but not really seeing the impact.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if they're focusing on the right things.
And here's another thing. The report calls out how vague their performance reports are.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No clarity on how the money's actually being used. So, tough to feel good about it if you don't even know where it's going, right?
Yeah, you need that transparency, especially when it's public funds.
Absolutely.
And without it, how can we hold them accountable?
Exactly.
But okay, let's get into how this all affects passenger safety.
Right.
It's not just about a few minutes here or there, right? We're talking about feeling safe on public transport. Like, that should just be a given.
It should be.
Yeah.
And the report uses some real stories to show how serious this is.
Yeah.
Like that incident at High Barnet Station back in 2022.
Yeah.
A passenger was seriously hurt because of the gap between the platform and the train.
Oh, wow.
Basic stuff, you'd think.
Mm.
But the platform hadn't been upgraded, even though the report says they had the money for it.
That's a basic safety feature. Like, to think that someone could get seriously hurt because of that is
Yeah.
unsettling.
And then there's King's Cross, 2023. Remember that signal failure? People were stuck in these really overcrowded conditions for over an hour. No British transport police on the scene, and the staff were overwhelmed.
It's scary. Like, being stuck in a crowded train is one thing, but without enough staff or security, it's a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's not just these big disruptions either. The report mentions concerns about safety at night.
Right.
People traveling late say they feel unsafe because platforms are understaffed and there's not enough lighting.
So it seems like no matter when you travel, there's a chance you might not feel completely safe.
Yeah.
I mean, we all expect a certain level of safety on public transport. It should just be there.
You would think.
Okay, so thinking about safety, what about the British Transport Police? What's their role in all of this? Shouldn't they be a key part of making sure passengers are safe across the whole network?
In theory, yes.
Yeah.
But the report is saying the partnership between TfL and the BTP isn't working the way it should. There's this pattern of delayed responses.
Right.
BTP officers often get there after things have already escalated.
Well, that's no good. What good is help if it arrives too late?
Exactly. And they also say there aren't enough patrols, especially in stations known for problems.
Yeah, why not prevent things from happening in the first place?
That's the idea. And to make it worse, a lot of investigations into passenger altercations, they just go unresolved.
Really?
Leaving victims feeling like there's no justice.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, like that disruption at London Bridge Station in 2023. Passengers reported fights, but there was no response from the BTP or station security.
And nothing was done.
Seems like it.
Ugh, talk about a double whammy. You're already stressed from the disruption, and then to feel like your safety isn't taken seriously.
Right.
But, okay, so TfL must be doing something to try and fix all this. They must know what's going on. What are they actually doing?
Well, they're doing some things, yeah. The report acknowledges that they have some safety initiatives.
Okay.
But the main point is they seem to be reacting rather than being proactive.
So they're putting out fires.
Exactly. Always one step behind.
Give me some specifics, like what kind of initiatives?
They have those mobile response units trained in de-escalation,
Okay.
but they're often not available when you need them because they can't be everywhere at once.
So helpful in theory,
Right.
but not in practice.
Not always.
That house.
They also talk about this bus safety standard.
Okay.
New rules for safer bus designs, which is good.
Right.
But they're still using outdated buses on some busy routes.
So, same problem. Good idea, bad execution.
Exactly.
Anything else?
Oh, yeah, they have those specialized WVA teams to investigate incidents.
Right.
But they're stretched so thin they can't really cover everything.
So it's like they're trying, but not hard enough.
Basically, yeah.
Almost more frustrating than doing nothing at all. So if TfL isn't really fixing these safety problems, what can we do as passengers?
Good question.
How can we protect ourselves? Or even, push for some change?
The report has some really practical tips. First, stay informed. Use the TfL app. It's got real-time service information.
So you can plan ahead.
Exactly. Less likely to be surprised by disruptions.
Knowledge is power. What else?
They also say, if you see something, say something. Report any unsafe behavior you see to staff or the BTP.
Don't just stand by.
Right. Don't just let it happen. Your report could help prevent something worse from happening.
Absolutely. We can't just complain. Got to be proactive.
And finally, just stay calm and alert during disruptions.
Okay.
Avoid crowds if you can. Listen to announcements. Basic stuff.
Common sense.
Right. Just use your common sense to stay safe.
So while TfL works on the big problems, we can do our part.
Exactly.
Stay informed, stay vigilant, take action. It's about taking control where we can.
Exactly. And we should remember the big picture. TfL has promised some improvements, like they're going to increase staff during peak hours, they're going to work on platform safety, and make their communication systems better.
Well, that's good to hear.
Right. So there's hope.
There is hope. But what I'm hearing from this report is it's not enough to just wait for them to do it. We have to hold them to it, make sure they actually follow through.
I completely agree. And the report's pretty clear about that. Passengers need to demand transparency.
Yes.
Hold TfL accountable for real change.
Love that. We need to be active in making TfL the kind of system we actually deserve. But, this report focuses on safety and the money, right? What about the other stuff? What else do you think needs to be improved? What would make your commute not just bearable, but actually, enjoyable?
Ooh, that's a good one. So we've talked about the serious stuff, but yeah, there's definitely room to make things more pleasant. What are you thinking?
Well, for me, the cleanliness could be better.
Okay.
Nobody wants to start or end their day surrounded by grime.
I hear you. A bit of a spruce up would be nice.
Right.
And what about the signs? It's like a maze sometimes.
Oh, the signage. Don't even get me started. Honestly, you need a map and a compass just to find the right platform. Sometimes I think they change it just to confuse us. But no, seriously, clearer signs would be great.
It would make a huge difference, yeah.
And this might be a bit out there, but more amenities at the stations. Charging stations, reliable Wi-Fi, maybe even a little coffee shop.
Oh, like that.
Just make those in-between moments a bit more, less in between.
That's a great idea. It's all about creating a better experience for everyone. It's not just about getting from A to B, it's about the journey, right?
Exactly. It's about making public transport something that people actually want to use, not something they have to use.
Absolutely. And this deep dive, it really highlights that we have a voice in this.
Yeah.
As passengers, as taxpayers, we can't just accept things the way they are.
We have to speak up.
We have to demand better and hold TfL accountable. And the report gives us the tools to do it. It has links to TfL's crime and safety reports, the British Transport Police Safety Guidance, and even passenger feedback forms.
Fantastic. We can stay informed, connect with people, and make our voices heard.
Exactly.
And who knows, maybe in a future deep dive, we can check back and see what's changed.
Yeah, I love that idea. We'll have to do that. But for now, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be back soon with more deep dives into topics that matter to you. Until then, stay safe out there, Londoners, and don't forget, send in those feedback forms. It's interesting, you talking about making public transport enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because the report touches on that, but in a different way They say part of the problem is TfL, they just see it as get people from A to B. That's it.
Right.
Transactional.
Transactional, yeah.
But passengers want more than that.
I mean, yeah, if you're always dealing with the delays, feeling unsafe,
Right.
struggling to find your way around,
It's not a good experience.
hard to enjoy that.
So they're saying this narrow focus, it could actually be contributing to the problems.
Interesting.
If they thought about the whole experience.
The whole passenger experience.
Maybe they'd come up with some better solutions.
Yeah, it's not just fixing what's broken. It's rethinking the whole thing.
Exactly.
What public transport could be.
Right. And that brings us back to what you were saying.
About other areas needing improvement.
Yeah. So you said cleanliness, signage, all valid. But let's talk enjoyable. What would make you actually look forward to your commute?
Honestly, sometimes it feels like TfL is stuck in the past.
Okay.
The tech, how they communicate, even the stations themselves, it's all a bit dated.
You think so?
They've made progress, yeah, but it's slow. Always playing catch up, you know?
That's interesting. The report doesn't really say that, but
Yeah.
I think you're onto something. Like they need to get with the times, you know?
Embrace innovation. If they want a system that's modern, that people actually connect with,
Yeah.
it's more than just providing a service, it's the whole experience.
Exactly.
And look what technology can do these days. It's incredible.
It is.
Why not use that, with TfL?
Well, imagine if they used AI to optimize routes and get rid of delays or interactive maps so you can actually find your way around.
Yes.
Even something simple like decent Wi-Fi everywhere.
That would be amazing.
It would make a huge difference to people.
And it's not just tech, right? What about making the stations nicer places to be?
Okay, yeah.
Like comfy seating areas, some art, even little shops or events.
That's a good idea.
Make them lively, not just concrete boxes, Imagine actually wanting to go to the station.
I like that. Thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Public transport could be so much more.
It could. A place for people to connect, be creative, even find some joy.
Exactly. And I think that's what we miss sometimes when we talk about TfL.
We get so focused on the problems,
Yeah,
we forget to dream a little.
exactly. We need to step back from the daily grind and imagine what could be.
And who knows, maybe those ideas will actually lead to change. Because the report does say we have a role to play in shaping the future of TfL.
Right. It's not all on them.
So to everyone listening, we want to hear from you. What would make your commute better? What ideas do you have for TfL?
Don't be shy.
Because you never know. Your idea could be the spark that changes everything.
And while you're thinking, don't forget those resources we mentioned.
Yeah.
The TfL reports, the BTP guidance, those feedback forums.
It's all there for us to use. Stay informed, connect with each other.
Right.
Make your voices heard.
When we work together, TfL has to listen.
And maybe in a future deep dive, we can see how it's all going.
I like it. Let's put that in our calendars. Check in again in a few months, see what's new.
I'm in. But until then, stay safe out there, Londoners.
And keep those feedback forms coming.
It's funny, isn't it? We talk about TfL like it's this big machine.
Yeah.
But there are people behind it making decisions that affect us every day.
That's so true. We forget that sometimes, don't we? The human element.
On both sides.
Yeah.
The passengers and the people working to keep the whole thing running. It's easy to get frustrated, but everyone's just trying to do their best, right? In a tough situation.
Yeah.
But this report makes it clear there are problems.
Oh, yeah. Systemic problems that need fixing.
In this deep dive, it's just scratching the surface, really.
It is. There's so much more to it.
Yeah.
Politics, the economy, all these factors affecting TfL's decisions.
And just the sheer scale of it all.
Exactly.
It's like a huge puzzle, and we've only found a few pieces.
And the more we learn, the more questions we have.
Right.
Like, we talked about technology for passengers, right?
Uh-huh.
But what about technology for safety? Could AI help prevent disruptions?
Like predictive maintenance?
Yeah, or real-time monitoring of how many people are where.
Yeah.
Could that stop things before they even start?
That makes you wonder if TfL's really thinking about all this new technology.
Right. If they're serious about safety, they need to be ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. And it's not just about using tech for the sake of it.
No, it has to be targeted.
The right tools for the right job.
Exactly.
But okay, looking ahead, what about the future of public transport in general?
Ooh, good question.
People working from home more, new ways to get around. How does TfL stay relevant?
That's the big question, isn't it?
How do they not get left behind?
The world's changing. They can't just keep doing the same old thing.
They need a bit of an identity crisis.
An identity crisis.
Yeah. Who are they? What do they believe in? What do they want to be in the future of London?
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Figure out their values. Use that to guide their choices.
I'm with you.
And it's not just up to them.
No way.
We have to be part of this conversation too.
Passengers, citizens, we have to make our voices heard.
It's our city. We have to make sure public transport works for everyone.
Exactly. It has to be a team effort.
TfL, the government, and most importantly, us, the people who use it every day.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So, to everyone listening, we challenge you, keep this deep dive going. Don't just accept things the way they are.
Ask questions.
Do your own research.
Share your ideas.
You never know. Your voice could be the one that makes a real difference.
Absolutely. This conversation doesn't end here. We'll be back with more deep dives soon. But until then, stay curious, stay engaged.
And happy commuting.